Now it's Istanbul, the Constantinople. Now it's Istanbul, the Constantinople. And they've been a long time gone. Constantinople, why did Constantinople get the works? It's nobody's business but the Turks. Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's thoughts on the Defenders. This one for season 1, episode 3, worst behavior. This is where I gave the thoughts off the top of my head after watching the episode. Although I will say I watched this episode last night and then fell asleep, so I'm just doing it now in the morning. But whatever, it's still somewhat fresh in my mind. So there'll be spoilers up to episode 3, but not beyond episode 3. So if you haven't seen past episode 3, nothing will be spoiled for you here. So that little ditty song, if you're not familiar, is a reference to the scene that we got with Sigourney Weaver's character, where she's, having this really, delicacy, this Turkish delicacy, and she's like, oh, I haven't had it since I was in Constantinople, and the guy was like, well, it's not called Constantinople anymore, that's like the historical name for it, it's called Istanbul now. And this is like the first clue, not the first clue, this is like, I would say the second or third clue that we got that this character is actually really, really old, like ancient, like she's been around for thousands of years. I can't remember what the other clues were, but I do remember there were some clues that this character may be way older. And it kind of makes sense with what we know about the hand, because the hand can resurrect people, and it can, prolong life. I think she alluded to in the earlier episode, if I remember correctly, that she had died and come back to life herself. Or maybe it was this episode, I don't know. That's what you get with these thoughts on. But so it is heavily implied that she's really, really old, and I think, and she's being presented pretty much as the head of the hand, which I guess if you say it like that, sounds really weird that a hand would have a head, but you know what I'm saying. She's the leader of this organization, so it would make sense that she would be the oldest one if she was the head honcho, and and we know these people can be resurrected, so it makes sense that she's been around for a really, really long time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I get the impression. I think we'll delve more deeper into this later on. Anyway, the good first chunk of this episode was devoted to like a flashback of her sort of resurrecting Elektra. So we got a few scenes at the end of Daredevil season 2 that showed the hand was resurrected Elektra's, but now we get to see fleshed out more. We see the Sigourney Weaver character was directly involved in re-educating her, and the most interesting piece of information I got out of this is that she doesn't remember anything from her previous life. In fact, it was kind of like a rebirth, and that's kind of how they describe it. And she keeps like only a few things, like her, her sense of language, be able to talk, and her instincts, and they said that's about it. So I get the impression that she was sort of wiped clean, almost like, rebooting a hard drive, or formatting a hard drive, whatever, where everything's wiped clean, and the Sigourney Weaver is just like reprogramming her from the beginning. So that's why she's evil now, because she's not really evil, and I like that. It's dynamic. It's not so much that she's evil, it's that she's been reprogrammed by the hand, and she's sort of been brought up by them. So that's interesting. I appreciated that backstory. That was pretty cool. So then I was a bit worried that that's all we'd get in this episode, which I wouldn't like that, especially since there's only 8 episodes. But thankfully it wasn't the case. We got to see more of Danny Rand and Luke Cage meet, because it was cool. Of course, Claire Temple is going to be the one who is the one who combines all 4 of these people. And it was interesting that as soon as Luke Cage mentioned glowing fist to actually beat the crap out of him, she's like, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. You should actually meet him. You guys are the same side. And she's trying to... I did find it a bit of fake how she went to Colleen and was like, oh, let's just leave the room and let these two talk. Why do you need to do that? I don't know. Whatever. But I did find the conversation that the two of these guys had very interesting. And again, this gets back to what I was saying about the moral ambiguity of these Marvel Netflix shows. Is just so great because things aren't always as you appear. Because you get all these superhero shows where you get the henchmen and they're being evil, and the good guy comes in and beats the crap out of the henchman to get to the big villain. But this actually shows you the other side. You see Luke Cage's perspective as like of this henchman was actually just a young boy who lost his family, and he's trying to get by. He needs to feed his mother, put food on the table, and he has no other way to make money. So it's interesting getting in that perspective. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make it right. I kind of can see Danny Rand's perspective, of course, that he needs to stop this evil organization. And if they're foot soldiers, it's like the whole thing with the soldiers, like the Nazis or whatever. You say, oh, I'm only following orders. There's no excuse. And you're saying, oh, I'm only doing it to feed my family. Is no real excuse for evil doing. Forgive the phrase. I freaking hate that phrase, but lack of a better term. But it's dynamic. Like you can see, but you can still see Luke Cage's perspective. Especially, I love how he brings up Danny Rand's privilege. I think that was a really poignant blow to him, and that actually is a good point. It strikes an accord. Like, you don't know what it's like to live in this be brought up in this poor area and hardly be able to feed your family and get by, and your whole family is being killed off by crime. I mean, that's what I love about these shows, and I also like that Danny Rand took this to heart. He wasn't offended. He wasn't dismissive of Luke Cage, and actually said, maybe he's right. I do have this privilege, and I have other ways of combating the Hand rather than attacking these foot soldiers who are just trying to get by. That was great. I love that. But Danny Rand is such an idiot. And I don't say that in the way that most people will be like, oh, I hate Iron Fist. Iron Fist sucks. As I said, I think people are too hard on Iron Fist. I don't have a problem with Iron Fist. I actually like the fact that he's an idiot. I think it's funny, and it's believable too in the context of this character, because he's naive, because he wasn't really raised in this world, so he's ignorant. He's a fish out of water, and that's what all Iron Fist was about. And I kind of like that. A lot of people were shitting on him. Oh, why is he so dumb? But I like that. I thought that was a good aspect to the show. But here, he's really dumb. He just charges in to the headquarters of the Hand and be like, I'm going to destroy you. I'm like, what is he hoping to accomplish here? Like, don't get me wrong, again, totally believable. It's totally within this character. He's totally naive to do something dumb like that. But really, what is he hoping to accomplish there? Do you think they're going to be like, oh, we surrender, you're right, you're going to kill us all? But actually, I thought that was awesome. Like, I totally did not expect all these business CEOs of this, corporation company, and they go into the boardroom, and then all of a sudden they just break out the freaking, weapons and start charging at him. And they're all ninjas, not just executives. That was cool, actually. I really liked that. I thought that was pretty awesome. But let me backtrack a bit to get to Jessica Jones and Daredevil. I mean, not much to say about it. I wasn't sure at first who was tracking who. I was a bit confused by that scene, but from what I gather, Daredevil was tracking Jessica Jones, and then she noticed this because she's, smart like that. She knows that kind of thing. So she turned around and started tracking Daredevil. So or Matt, I should say, because he wasn't in Daredevil costume, but, you know what I'm saying. So basically, they were each following each other, and she took pictures of him, jumping around doing gymnastics and stuff, which shouldn't be plausible for someone who's blind. So she knows that something's up with him, and he knows something's up with her. But she has this cool investigations where I like how she pretends to be she pretends to be an airhead working for a corporation, but really she's just gathering information. And all their investigations lead them to the same place. I think Daredevil was basically just following Jessica Jones, but she was investigating, of course, that that guy who killed himself, and Danny Rand was investigating the money funneling, and it all led them to this one company whose sorry name I don't remember. As I say, I just watched these episodes once, and it was last night, but whatever. She'll come up in the next episode. So it all leads them to the same place. I was a bit unclear on how Luke Cage got there. I was actually surprised when he showed up because he's the one person I didn't know was going to be there, but maybe I missed that too. I don't know. So they're all there in this boardroom fight. And I don't know. Like, I like this fight, but I wish there was more to it. To me, maybe that's not a bad thing, because maybe it's just a tease for more fights with all four of them to come. But this is what we got in the trailer. We got a shot from this scene where they're in the hallway. Now, Marvel Netflix has become obsessed with hallway fight scenes, Daredevil in particular, ever since Daredevil Season 1 was just the very first Marvel Netflix show. There was this, really cool cinematic fight scene in the hallway, which blew everyone away, and they sort of did another one where they tried to up the stakes in Daredevil Season 2. I do think one of these other shows might have done a similar fight hallway scene that didn't work out as well. Maybe Iron Fist. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But so when I saw this hallway fight scene in the trailer, I was like, oh no, God, yes, another freaking hallway fight scene. They're obsessed with their hallways. But really, it was just that one shot when they're in a hallway. It wasn't really this prolonged, like, one shot, awesome fight scene like we usually get in Daredevil. And when I first thought it was going to be that, I was like, oh, not again. Can't they do something original? But now that I saw that they didn't actually do that, I'm disappointed. I'm like, where's my hallway fight scene? I thought that would have been awesome if we had all four of them combined, not just Daredevil, but whatever, that's fine. Maybe we'll get some more good fight scenes with all four of them later on, but I wanted that hallway scene. But that was interesting. I mean, it's a bit hard to swallow that all four of them just so happen to show up at the same time. I mean, Jessica Jones and Daredevil makes sense because they're following each other, but the rest of them just happen to be there at the same. Like, the fact that Jessica Jones just happened to show up at the same time Danny Rand was there, and I don't even know why Luke Cage was there. So that's a bit hard to swallow, but whatever. Suspension of disbelief. I did think it was pretty cool seeing these go together, the four heroes or whatever you want to call them finally come together, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get along. I don't know, something like Jessica Jones, I think it was her who said, who are you people? Oh no, it was Danny Rand, sorry. Danny Rand was like, who are you people? And that felt a bit fake, but whatever. I did like how Jessica was like, oh, Luke, what are you doing here? Like, they're just like in the middle of being attacked by like all these freaking ninjas. It's like, oh, hi, how's it going? And that was cool, actually. I like that. But yeah, so I guess that's it for my thoughts on episode 3. I want to go ahead and watch episode 4 because it looks so good, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back here with some more thoughts on that. See you next time.